the finale. This is where you literally start with like balloons, like things popping up. And all those, like, there's this thing that people were buying at the showgrounds. What do you call it? This pink, people eat on it. It's like
Candy floss.
Candy floss. Literally, that's how you start a grand finale. Welcome to Emerge. I am Ulo, the delightful host. And of course, in the building with me for the grand finale is the incomparable Wezi Mhone. She is a songwriter, a singer. I call her a songbird. She is also a human rights activist.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for that intro. Thank you very much for having
But
me.
it is what it is.
I appreciate it.
Literally, this here does not even describe half of the person you are.
Oh, you're so kind.
And how much more you've contributed
Wow.
into the industry. Now, talking about contribution in the industry, you strike me, especially on the human rights activism work. Is that correct? English?
Yes, activism work. Yeah.
Activism, right?
Yeah.
You strike me as someone who's not doing it as a mandate for being a celebrity. Because we've seen a couple of people who are like, no, being a celebrity, you need to do SCR, social corporate responsibility. But for you, it's like, this is the core of who you are. And I'd just like to understand, where does that stem from for you?
Fundamentally, the human being that I am, I think all of us are products of the environment where we come from. So, in a nutshell, I'll say that I grew up around people with big hearts, very generous people, very compassionate and empathy. So, they say children learn from what they see and what they hear. So you can tell someone, don't jump, but you keep on jumping, the child will jump. They'll learn more from the things they see than the things you tell them not to do.
Wow.
So I learned that from my grandmother, my mother, my mother's siblings, and shout outs to my hometown, Ndola City. Very friendly.
You always talk about your grandmother.
Yes. Because like my biggest memories of my childhood, like some of the deepest highlights, some of even the most painful experiences, somehow are attached to her. Yeah. And I spent most of my time alone with her. And the age difference is like 50 years difference between her and me. I was so obsessed.
It's a well of knowledge, wisdom.
And I was at an age where I couldn't talk back. So it was more about absorbing.
Oh,
so
wow.
I learned so much from listening to her.
That's profound. Now, before I get into all these crazy things, because see, the thing with you, Wezi, is I know you're speaking about sitting under such wisdom, but it's like that has just naturally rubbed off of you. And I am usually drawn to your perspective.
Thank you.
On a couple of things. And I do not want to rush there.
Yes.
Just right on the activism work.
Okay.
I am literally reading through your t-shirt and it says, pass the tobacco control bill.
Yes.
Why have you chosen to embark on this particular, mandate, and what is it about?
There's a wise saying that I'm very, I appreciate very much. They call it an African proverb. I don't know where it comes from. They say, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So I believe in togetherness. The Center for Trade Policy and Development has been working with me when it comes to advocacy work. And there's other consortiums when it comes to tobacco control issues that are working together. So I love the whole togetherness. And when I discovered the truth, like the facts around the effects of tobacco in my society, I felt like, what's the point of existing in this society if I can't inspire something good, like the reduction of the effects of tobacco? What's the first thing that we need to do if you want to change the reduction is to inspire, the policymakers to make choices that will inspire change in behavior. So I would like to see less use of tobacco, because less use of tobacco means a safer environment for my child, for myself, for my grandmother. You get? And when the tobacco control bill is passed, when you go through the details, you see that it's basically pro-humanity. It's public health all the way.
Now, you are saying something quite interesting about this is less effect on you, on the next person that matters to you. And I'm of the view that tobacco may only affect people that indulge in it. How does that correlate to the person that isn't indulging?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, it gives me an opportunity to explain passive smoking. Unfortunately, when people smoke tobacco, the effects of tobacco are not only directed to them. They're directed to the environment. And there's this stereotype thinking that tobacco is only about cigarettes. It's different forms of smoke. Even the chargeable e-cigarettes, the shisha, all those things have got the elements of inhaling and exhaling. So if you've got like complications, health complications, diseases, infections, all of that comes out with the smoke, and everybody around you is at risk of catching, diseases, different types of diseases, including tuberculosis. So there's a lot of, even children die of tobacco-related illnesses. And the number that, on top of my head, that is very shocking is that every year, over 7,000 Zambians die due to tobacco-related illnesses. And I find that totally heartbreaking. It's a human issue that we can control, so we shouldn't fold our hands waiting for a miracle. We are the ones to create the miracle we desire to see.
Eish. Now listen, if if this was about me alone, I would pack here and go home. But because I know that there is so much to learn from you, which literally gets me into the core of why we are having this conversation. And today's topic is discovering your authentic self, living in your true identity. I could not think of any better person than Wezi Mhone when it comes to, just being yourself. Yeah. In a world where it's easy to be the next person or to want to be the next person, you make being yourself seem so effortless. How do you do that?
How do you say this? It's about
you chuckle.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a very difficult question because I am an accumulation of my experiences. Yes, everything that I've been through from childhood has led me to who I am today. So, small things like you're taking a walk with your friends and all of them are light skinned, you're dark ones, and everybody says psst, psst, and then all of you turn back, not you, we're all black. You grow up.
I'm sorry, that's sad. It's silly,
it's funny,
sad,
it's silly and
but
sad.
It is the reality.
So I grew up being aware that I'm not the preferred shade when it comes to beauty standards. And I was just like, you know what? It's your loss if you don't appreciate this.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if I can't give credit to like who raised me, how I was raised. It's also like inbuilt. I'm a stubborn person. So you can't convince me to alter my appearance to please you. It's really, really inbuilt. Like I'd rather drink sewer water than to change who I am.
Oh my goodness. And listen, I know the next person might just listen to this from a superficial perspective, but I wish people could get it from the depth that it stands and just the results that such, self-assurance births. Now, it is easy, in a place where you've sort of already cemented yourself and kind of like feel like you really know who you are. So now let's have a scenario here, right? You go to, let's say, another country or like a village where people have no clue. There is all this music, just this life, because there is a world like that where people do not know who Wezi is. And you go to that place and you meet someone that's incredibly interested in knowing who you are. Who would you tell them you are? How would you describe yourself?
My definition of who I am changes because my perception of things changes at every different age. So if you ask me this question 15 years ago, I was going to answer you differently. I used to define myself according to my ambition. So at some point I used to define myself according to who I am born of, my mother and my father. So if you ask me, I'll tell you, my name is Victoria Wezi Mhone.
Yeah.
I am the second born daughter of Apostle Simon Mhone and Pastor Weston Banda.
PKs, whoop,
You know what I mean? And
From
then
PK.
at some point, when I was an UNZA student, I was going to answer you, I'm an UNZA student. And when I was...
and I'm smart.
You know what I mean? And then at some point, I was going to tell you I am an emerging artist. I'll tell you right now, maybe some few months ago, I would be defining myself as a multi-award winning artist. But right now, I'm at the phase where I just define myself as a beautiful work of God. Nothing else.
So simple, not complicated.
At this particular point, that's the definition I would give, just that.
What does that mean?
I mean, the one who created the sun, the moon, the stars also created me.
Damn. And I saw this post where you were saying you watched an interview of Oprah and Maya Angelou, is it?
Yes.
Where, Maya was just talking about how she couldn't fathom how this, inexplicable God created her too.
Yes, and just loving her. I think that's the depth of it all, like when it comes to existence for me. Because I am aware of like a lot of people and being atheists, agnostics and everything. But personally, I feel like the greatest privilege any human can experience is to acknowledge the almighty superpower that created all this.
It cannot be said any better. I'm literally in this space of introspection, and I'm thinking after this I need to go and do a lot of inner work because it only takes self-assurance to get to a place where
you love yourself better if you realize like the one who created water created you.
What? Because now I'm looking at it in its literal sense. Just imagine, let's not even say water. The one who created the Victoria Falls.
Yes.
Because we want to look at it as this wondrous thing, and
and deliberately
you
so.
comprehend.
He had you in mind deliberately like that. I love that whole concept. And that's what I go by these days. So if I go to a remote place, if I would like to define myself, I would like to attach myself to the definition of God's creativity.
And that's what it is.
Yes.
That's the truth that we constantly keep running away from. Now, you put up a post where, I will just read it so that I do not rephrase, where you said, the best part about being a music artist for me is writing songs and directing the production of the music. I make sure my DNA is audible in my songs. As a mortal being, the music will breathe for me eternally. What do you think the music will breathe about you when you're long gone from the face of the earth?
First of all, I feel like there's no such thing as being long gone. You know what I mean? Because I am part of an eternal being that is God. So I am going to be forever. I will just exist in a form that is, at this particular point, unimaginable, unknown. You know what I mean? And the best part about music is that making music for me is that it's a phase. We don't remember the people that used to make music in 1902, but somehow music recreates itself. So I listen to Otis Redding. He's my favorite soul singer. He died at age 26. It's somewhere in 1960. And I am a Zambian. He never imagined in his life a third world country there would be a soul singer that is obsessed with him. And the music that I make in its own way inspired by him will inspire someone 30 years from now. So tell me how you disappear like that. You kind of live forever through the music you make.
Wow.
That's how I think anyway.
I know you are saying that you kind of live forever. But then in the part of you living forever, is what are those details about you? Because if your music because literally here you spoke about your DNA, which I feel like is your being. What are those details about you? I mean, for me, from just the top of my head, if I thought Wezi, I'm thinking bold, big laughter, such, joy that radiates from the soul. That's what I'm thinking of, Wezi.
With that particular post, I was thinking about like music beyond lyrics. It's about the sound of the guitar. I feel like I feel guilty a little bit, like I'm taking credit for things that I don't do. I always want to give credit to God. All the music that I write is written through me, not by me. So
listen, you're too deep for me, girl. You're making me literally sit here, and I'm like, why don't you just take on the rest of this show and maybe ask me some questions to reply? But I'm really enjoying this. Carry on.
Yeah, so I feel guilty to say I write songs, because literally the ideas come to me. So where do those come from? So I want to give credit to my source, because it's not like other people sit down to meditate and then their songs are premeditated, but for me, most of my songs come on the spot. So it's beyond lyrics. It's about the guitar here in the song. I am so sorry about that.
No worries. It's stuff that happens on podcasts. We'll get away with it.
It's the guitar that you hear on the song. It's the piano. It's everything. It could be something like a similar sound that you heard on a different song, but it's kind of different still, because it comes from here, and there's no here in that or any other creative being. We are similar, but we are not the same.
Crazy.
So,
oh wow.
Yes. So where we meet in similarity, we enjoy, in common, and where we are different, we appreciate individuality. I love Sakala Brothers. No matter how well I can sing a song, I know that I can never sing it the way it was originally done. And that's what I like about covers, because you are kind of saluting the owners of, and that's what I want my music to be. Like whenever you listen to it, no matter how well recreated it will be, it will never ever be the same as the original.
Crazy. It's funny how that you've mentioned all of them, Kekero, but then when I listened to I was just like, who is this girl? Who is this girl? You're literally, outdid yourself. Now, it's one thing to be authentic and live in your true being.
Yes.
However, that comes with its own fair share of failures.
Yes.
What does failure look like for you, and would you allude to any significant moments when you failed and you had to get back up without losing yourself?
I really don't want to sound unrealistic, but from the depth of my being, who I am, I will tell you this boldly. My definition and understanding and my perception of failure is that it's the root, it's the component of success. So failure is not a negative thing in my eyes. It's the spice that is an ingredient of success. So the depression, the tears, the fatigue, the mental health strain, it's all an ingredient to make you more soulful, more purposeful, more compassionate, more empathetic and hardworking, more grateful actually. So for me, failure and all the dark days are actually a component of success. Very, very vital to success.
Crazy. Now, there is no better way we could end the conversation. And I'm like, why do we have to end this conversation? And this is how I
Shout out to you for wearing my favorite color. I love this outfit.
Yes, you love yellow. And I had to come prepared. That's what you do when an idol is coming. Literally to
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. You look beautiful.
Thank you. You are beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for gracing my seat, Wezi. All the best on your endeavors, and keep being you. We are inspired.
Thank you so much.
Whew. What do you do with a being like Wezi? Please do let me know in the comment section down below which part of this conversation did stand out for you. Are you being your authentic self, and what does living in your own identity look like for you? And obviously, thank you for making this season such an incredible one. All thanks to the Lord, family, the wonderful production team, and you, the viewers, who I have absolutely grown to love. I've been reading your comments, seeing your silly jokes, and now we are going to cook you better and bigger content. But your girl always says this: whatever it is that you want to do, if it stands right and serves purpose, then go do it.